Hello, everyone, and welcome to a very special episode number 200 of the Attractions Podcast. And as you can see, I have some very, very special guests with us for this special episode. There's not going to be any news. There's not going to be any of the usual updates. What it's going to be is us looking back over the past with our favorite past co-hosts, Banks and Brittany. We are going to do our usual little welcome to the folks who are in the chat, and I assume it's going to be a small group of people in the chat today because this is not our usual time to record this. So I just want to say hi real quickly. In early, Mr. Bread, thank you very much. As always, Michael Bingham is here with us celebrating the 200th podcast. Yes, we are going to have some fun. Thank you for being here. And as always, in Derek's Corner, we've got Blossom and Michelangelo. Welcome to all of you. I'm really excited that we were able to do this. And before I blow all of my material on the pre-show, I think we should just kick this thing off. And I'm actually going to remove you two from the stream so that I can introduce you. And here we go. All right. And in 3, 2, 1.
Please lower your head and watch your step while boarding.
Welcome to the Attractions Podcast. You are all clear for dispatch. Have fun.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to a very, very special episode number 200 of the Attractions Podcast, sponsored by MEI and Mouse Fan Travel. I am Seth, and Carly is not here with us this week, but instead we have two very familiar faces, or at least they should be familiar if you are a longtime fan of the Attractions Podcast. I am very, very proud and excited to be joined by our former show co-hosts, Banksley and Brittany Tuttle. Thank you both so much for being here. Welcome. I know Banks has a very important job here that he cannot talk about on this podcast, so we are not going to touch on that. But I do want to just start out by asking, how have you both been? How are your families? How is everything going since the last time that we got to talk?
Things are going great. First off, I gotta say, I love that you're still using the same theme song that I put together.
Absolutely. I rock out to it the folks at home. Here's a little secret. Folks at home don't get to see this. But when you are watching that little video, I'm headbanging along to that every time.
Yes. My friend Amber was such a sweetheart. She did the voice for that. Like, I got her putting that together. That was so Perfect. Great. He'll still hear that. But I'm doing great. Today is actually my third work anniversary at my current job, which I can say I do work at Legoland, Florida on the marketing team there. Everyone knows that. So yes. Today is the third anniversary. Started 3 years ago.
Congratulations.
Time's just flying right by. I swear. And the kids are growing up. Spencer's going to be 9 on Monday.
That's amazing.
Oliver just turned 5 in April. They're just their own little individuals now. Like they're at swim lessons right now. They start up school next month. I can't believe how fast these past 3 years have flown by, and I'm so happy to be here. And thank you, Seth, for inviting Brittany and I.
Oh yeah, well, we could not celebrate the 200th episode without you and without Brittany. Brittany, what is new with you?
Well, I'm back in Orlando. I moved back last summer.
Welcome to the heat and humidity. You picked the right summer to move here.
Well, I've been here for a year already, but this summer has just been absolutely brutal. Things are going good. We're back. Getting back to the parks has been really nice. I still work at Super Yaki. I am the director of social media communications over there. I actually got this in the other day. It's my Barbie shirt.
Yes.
The Barbie shirt that we did. Ryan Gosling wore a version of it on the CinemaCon carpet, if you guys saw those photos. Very awesome. Cool. and that's what I'm doing now. Lots of movie stuff. I'm seeing an early screening of Talk to Me next week that I'm very excited about. I've seen it already, but Josh hasn't seen it. We're still doing good. We don't have kids, but we do have a dog.
Close enough. Close enough. I got cats. I know the feeling.
Yeah. But things are good. Things have been good.
Well, I was so excited to have you guys on. I want to start out, in case you have just started listening to the podcast and maybe you don't know the whole history and going back. I want to start first with Banks to give us a little refresher course. I think I probably first met you back around 2010 when you first tried to go on the Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey ride, had some difficulties, started a blog on it, and started talking on the internet about your experiences. And I think we probably first connected through that. So I want you to talk just a little bit about how you first got into being a theme park journalist, being involved with Attractions Magazine, leading into the creation of the podcast, sort of the prehistory of the podcast.
Right. So, I mean, it's a long history. There's a lot of details. To try to keep it as short as I possibly can. I moved to Florida in 2007. I'm originally from Texas, and I moved here for the college program at Disney. And from there, I went back home, finished up college, and then 8 months later, I came back in August of 2008 permanently, moving in with my now wife, Sydney. And from there, I've always been a theme park fan my whole life. I love going to the theme parks, and in high school, I started really getting into video creation and shooting and editing, hosting, things like that. So on my downtime, when I was living here from 2008 to 2010, I would just go out into the parks, film my own random stuff, random videos, put it up on my own personal YouTube channel, which is all still there. YouTube.com. I've never plugged that in years. So you'll see one of my earliest viral videos was if you remember on Discovery Channel, there was a marketing campaign, Boom Diata. I created a Disney version of that, Disney World version with shots from the parks. And that was kind of my first viral hit. And from there, I started to submit photo reports for Screamscape, construction updates. I remember specifically back when American Idol was under construction at studios. I was submitting construction photos for them. And then also as well for WWNT, I was submitting some construction photos and updates around the parks. And they liked my work so much, they asked me to help co-host their podcast that they were starting back in 2009.
Oh, wow.
So for a little bit of a stretch, I was kind of in the early years of that site. And then from there, Matt was noticing my content that I was doing for them. And we'd run into each other occasionally, at the D Street grand opening in 2010 at Disney Springs, or then downtown Disney, I should say. Excuse me. But I was just doing Disney stuff for WWNT. So Matt one year asked me, because his then videographer wasn't able to make Halloween Horror Nights in 2010, and said, "Hey, do you mind helping out since it's not Disney? Can you help out with this?" And I was like, "Sure. I've never been to HHN. This should make for some good content." So that's kind of where I started with Matt is just doing non-Disney things. And then when I left WWNT, I started doing a little more and more all around Disney and all around the theme parks for Matt, while still working at day jobs here and there and at Ripley's. And then in 2012, when the guy that he had doing the attraction show was leaving, he asked me if I wanted to come in and help produce the show weekly. So I was like, heck yeah, I would love to be able to do that. And I stepped in and started doing the show. And 10 years later, I was still doing the show every single week. I'm very proud of the fact that I produced at least one new episode a week for almost 10 years.
That was amazing. And I got to say, if you don't remember the show, it was a little similar to the podcast in that we, had weekly news and some interviews, but it was fully produced. It was, everything. It wasn't just me scrolling on articles from the website back and forth. It was like a news program, fully produced out, and a huge amount of work.
Oh yeah. Literally every Thursday was a new episode, and we'd shoot on Mondays or Tuesdays. When I took over, my goal was to make it be like the Regis and Kelly of the theme park world, where you have two personalities that are discussing the news, and then you go into like the interviews and segments. And that's kind of the formula that it stuck with for the rest of its entire run. So was doing that every single week. And then in 2013, Matt hired me on full time as the media manager for Attractions. So I was able to leave Ripley's, and this was my full-time job for the longest time. I want to say it was in 2017 or 18, somewhere around there. Discussions were made about potentially doing podcasts, because those were starting to become really, really, really big. And so shout outs to Mike and Dee Dee and Tori, who started the original podcast, was Expansion Drive, which was kind of like, we cover theme parks, but like the old gaming systems of the day with like the Nintendo 64, you would have to have an expansion drive to really expand it. So that was kind of the genesis of the podcast, was expanding the coverage from theme parks to cover movies, pop culture, wrestling, things like that. So they did that for a couple of years, and then when they ended up leaving, Brittany and I were and you know what, I'll actually let Brittany kind of take over.
Yes, that's the perfect transition, because Brittany has been so patient.
Where did you start?
Please step in if I get any of the details wrong. I did not grow up in Florida. I actually grew up in Appalachia, went to college up there. And then after I graduated college, I did the college program in the first semester after I graduated. Came down here in 2016, did that for about 6 or 8 months. I did Fall Advantage. And then I remember following Attractions specifically from 2012 onward. That was where I started paying attention. But I had loved theme parks my entire life. Most notably, those games where you could play kind of like running the ops of like Phantom Manor and Tower of Terror. Yes, I used to love those. But I was just so obsessed with storytelling and kind of this tangible experience that you could have, that the parks were really the only place that could provide that. And I remember following Attractions on Snapchat, and I saw that Matt posted that they needed writers on Snapchat, and I responded to it. And that was how I got brought on first as freelance writing. I graduated with a media studies degree with a focus in journalism. And I did that for a little while. I still worked at Disney. And then I slowly, like incrementally transitioned to part-time with Attractions. And then eventually in full-time, I want to say around 2018, I went full-time. And from that point, I covered most of the stories that didn't involve any kind of in-person reporting. And I also ran all of the socials for the website, which was fun. I did move away in 2018 to move to Austin for a little while, and now I'm back. But in the meantime, Banks and I did the Attractions podcast together for, I want to say, like 2 more years, 3.
Yeah, I think it was not long around episode 100 is when I left. I don't remember the exact dates. We started the podcast because, as I was saying, that Mike, Dee Dee, and Tori had left, so Expansion Drive was going to change. So we decided to make it more of a generic The Attractions podcast. Brittany and I took over as hosts and started doing this kind of format here, where we would do it through this like StreamYard service instead of doing it in person, like Expansion Drive had been doing, recording all their episodes all in person. So we started doing it this way, and it was Brittany and I for I think almost 100 episodes.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna try to bring something up. I'm not certain that it's going to work here with the share screen. But so I think I found this was the first episode, I believe, that was done through StreamYard.
Oh my gosh.
And there's no video even. I'm trying to
maybe the first the first 27 episodes maybe we did do it in person when we were still like Give Kids the World, Brittany. I think that was it.
How did we,
so I'm playing it, but I don't think the audio is playing. You guys couldn't hear that right then when I was playing it, could you?
So we started doing StreamYard, I guess this was during the pandemic.
Yeah, how prophetic. Right when we started doing StreamYard, you know, everyone was virtually
so this would have been streamed live on March 29th, 2020, and it looks like the system lets me play a video but does not let the audio through, because I think you guys couldn't hear that when I was just playing the audio.
Yeah. Shout out to Jess too. Like, yeah, I remember interviewing her.
Yes,
she did
Jess.
amazing homemade Disney videos.
Jess Siswick, during the pandemic, was part of that viral Ratatouille TikTok musical.
That's right.
And I
She's gone
believe
on to some
that
great
was
success.
yeah. So that was the first interview that you guys did, I believe, and so March of 2020, that about 3.5 years ago. And like I said, this very first episode is literally just the little bubbles. There's
Yeah.
no human beings. By episode 30, we're on camera now. You've got your cat ear
Yeah.
headphones on.
Yes.
I seem to be having a little trouble getting this to load. Oh, there we go. I'm
Yeah, 'cause
gonna
then we're
try.
able to start showing the screenshots and the photos.
Yeah. So already you can see it pretty much looks like the show by episode 30. We already had a pretty active chat there, and 4,000 views on that one. That was April
Hey.
12th of 2020.
Oh my god, that was back when I had no. So I literally was bald, like no hair right there, because I
Yep.
was taking part in that viral homemade Disney thing, and I did a homemade barbershop, Main Street barbershop.
Oh my
And
god.
I had Spencer actually cut my hair, and we just shaved it all off.
Yes, love it. Oh, the pandemic, the things that we did during the pandemic. And here's one from this is episode 40. This is almost exactly 3 years ago.
Wow.
And here's one where you had Jeff, our producer behind the scenes, who edits the video into the podcast and comes up with our show notes every week, playing guest on there with you guys.
Wow, this is making me realize. I guess I didn't make. I guess I didn't make it to 100 episodes of the podcast. I guess it feels because I was doing expansion.
It feels like it, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think if you count expand, absolutely. But for this, I think you were gone by episode.
Wow.
By August of 2020, episode 50, it was me and Brittany. So
yeah, because mid-July was my last episode.
Yep. And as for how I got this gig, I've known Matt for many years. I wrote for Attractions Magazine since not the very first issue, but since the early issues. Getting to know Matt as a fellow journalist in town, and I think we actually probably met for the first time in person through one of the entertainment designer forums that they used to do at the old Mad Cow Theater, where they do a fundraiser every year with theme park designers. And I'm gonna hide this so we don't have to stare at that the whole time. How do I get this off the screen? Oh my! I sometimes there we go. Remove. There we go. That's better. So and I guess when Banks, I had been invited on as a guest a few times over the years on Attractions the Show. You guys were kind enough to let me plug some of my books and other projects. And I work out of my home, so I'm available. And I don't have a very good camera, as you can see how from incredibly pale I am, but I do have a working camera. So I met all the qualifications, and Brittany was very, very patient with me. If you watch some of the early episodes, she's dragging me up that hill.
Hey, at that point, I had just learned how to run the show from the back end through Banks, so I was also struggling.
If you have never done StreamYard, it's not as easy as it looks. There's a lot of buttons, and there's a lot of things when you're in the middle of a show and you're trying to keep it flowing and look at the comments and make eye contact. And it's really you guys made it look easy, and it's taken me quite a while to make it look not quite as easy. I remember when we did Attractions helped out with a a tribute to the Bill and Ted show, and we
Mhm.
had about 50 different people who had been involved with the Bill and Ted show, all trying to log into the StreamYard at the same time, and there are limits, and I'm trying to kick people off so the right people can be on. Oh my, yeah,
I remember
StreamYard's not for wussies. But I'm wondering if either of you have any particularly memorable either guests or stories, or maybe a thing that you did for the podcast that sticks out in your memories.
Hmm.
Hmm.
So I've got a couple.
It's all a blur. It's all just a blur.
A couple that pop into my mind. So toward the end of my run, we had a guy named Chasen Hampton be a guest one episode. He was one of the original Musketeers from the '90s Mickey Mouse Club.
Oh, from the Britney Spears era.
Exactly. Yeah.
Ah, okay.
So, and he was part of the group called the Party as well. So having him on, he's such a great, awesome, down to earth guy, talking a lot about the stories of filming it at MGM Studios and taking golf carts between the shows and just driving backstage. And yeah, like I encourage everyone to look that episode up. He was really great. Also, there was one episode, Brittany, where you had come into town to ride Rise of the Resistance. So the whole episode is recorded live in park as we try to get a boarding group, ride the ride, her first reactions. Like, it was all live.
It's all the drama, the ups, the downs.
It was a lot of drama. That morning was so
many mood swings.
We got really lucky. We got like within the first 10 border groups, I think, if I remember correctly. We were freaking out.
That's amazing.
Back when the giant Gatling thing still moved.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's Kylo's animatronic comes and goes. But I think that it's the equivalent of the Yeti. Those big guns are never going to move again.
Yeah, it's a shame
because they were cool.
Yeah, glad I got to see it when I could.
Yeah.
I can remember just in the last year I've got to do a couple really great interviews with Savannah Bone from Gatorland and Carlos Navarro, who's an actor from Hawkeye. I love that attractions, we are here to be positive about the parks. We're not here to tear things down, but I like that we can have fun and that we can get around with things and not always take all of the news so totally seriously. And I think some of my favorite things has been the interactions with our regular listeners, our regular viewers. We have some really great people who come back week after week, and I've been able to run into some of them in the parks, and it's great to see kind of the little community or attractions podcast fans.
Absolutely, especially I got to give a shout out to Michael Bingham. Like, Michael, that's a name I've
as always,
years and years and years. And he alluded to it in the comments there. 90s night at Disneyland, I went out to cover. Met up with Jeff and Tiffany out there, and Michael was there too, and we hung out for minutes. He's always been very enthusiastic, and it's always great to see him.
That you are absolutely right. Yes, he is a prime example. Thank you so much. Well, I was so excited to have you guys on that I did not come up with really good James Lipton inside the actor studio questions to ask. And I know Banks, maybe you can't answer this at all, but the news that's come out in the last year or so, things that have happened that you guys haven't been on the show, haven't been able to cover. Is there anything that was oh boy, I wish I was still doing the podcast because I would love to be able to talk about this? Is there any news or attractions or changes or anything over the last year or so since we talked that really got you excited?
I mean, I didn't get to do Hagrid's.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I didn't get to ride that until I came here for a visit. Maybe I think a year and a half after it opened.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, but
Was it worth the wait?
yes, yeah, I loved it.
Absolutely.
So, and I can talk just a theme park fan, nothing to
Yeah.
do with
Yeah,
work here. I mean, getting to like this is a really great time. In fact, the whole past decade has been such a great time for growth in Orlando, and seeing things rise so quickly over the past couple of years, especially with this one theme park down the road. Like
Mhm.
I am so like I just look at that. I'm like, oh my gosh, I wish I could be like, I want to go there. I want to be there at
Right.
the grand opening. I think that's one of the things I miss the most is being able to cover like these openings and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been fun getting to put those together for my workplace and
Mhm.
put events like that together. It's been really, really fun, and I've had a blast doing that. But I can't. I miss that, getting out there, boots in the field, and covering things. To this day, the one thing I will say is HHN. I miss covering HHN so much, because really, honestly,
Uh-huh.
I'm going to be completely honest. This job was my only chance to go to the event. Like, I never could actually go out on my own, and I haven't
Mhm.
been to HHN since I was with Attractions.
Wow.
I don't have the time or the money to get to
Uh.
go anymore. And so, like, getting to go opening night was always something I look forward to every single year.
I think you've got a kid who's the perfect age to start training now on horror movies.
Oh, jeez.
Build her up in a few years.
Let me
Be
tell
ready.
you, she's
ready.
she's starting to do a lot of the bigger rides. So she loves
Uh-huh.
Tron. She's really looking forward to Velocicoaster. She's still not there yet, but she's
A
close.
few more inches.
Exactly. And she's starting to watch more and more, mature movies. So she's now seen every Indiana Jones film. She loves them. She just watched Temple of Doom again yesterday.
That came out when I was 10, and it scared the poop out of
I
me.
know there's some stuff that obviously visuals that still scare her, and she's asking like, how does
Still
that
scares me.
But she's also learning about movie making, and I'm teaching her like, oh no, this is how they did this and this and this. So I'm trying to quell those fears by showing her the how to, so to speak. So it's helping a lot, and I know we're going to go see Haunted Mansion at the end of the month when that comes out. So she's definitely getting to that age. So hopefully, I don't know if I'm ready to take her to HHN yet. I would probably say when Epic Universe opens and I take her to that the Universal Monsters area, that might be a good test to see how she's going to handle HHN.
Absolutely. And Brittany, when are you taking the dogs to HHN?
It's like my child. I wish, but he's not behaved in that way. There would be no way. Horror Nights is not really my thing, but if there ever were a year to get me to go, it would be this one.
Yeah. So Stranger Things or
Last of Us primarily, but also Stranger Things 4. I really enjoyed that when it came out last summer.
Do you think that I can expense a PlayStation so that because I've never played it, and it's
incredible.
Well, I guess you can get the original on PC, but I hear it runs really poorly.
Yeah, they put the remake on PC. You could play the first one.
Yeah, I hear it's a bad port.
Yeah.
And to answer John Self's question, my cat Pumpkin actually, I think, wants to get a job as a scare actor because he loves jumping on my head or my chest in the middle of the night, leaping out of you at the dark, just scratching you randomly for no good reason. He'd be a perfect scare actor.
So,
all right.
Seth, I just want to say a memory that literally just popped up in my head. It involves you.
Oh no!
It's one of the best memories that I have. Probably it's in my top 3 of favorite things I ever did with Attractions. Was American Ninja Warrior at Universal.
Oh my god!
Yes, I think you were there covering for Orlando Weekly. I was there with Attractions, and I think were you the only one that successfully made it across?
I did. But I cheated, and because everyone else was trying to do it like they do it on TV, where you just leap from one this is the first obstacle in American Ninja Warrior. They had the course set up in the New York area of Universal Studios Florida, and the first obstacle is these giant steps where people would leap, bounce one leg on one, and then over the water and get to the other side. And every single person did a running thing. You were magnificent. You ran at it full speed ahead. You got 1 foot, 2 foot, and I think just
after
as
the
you
third
get
one
the
is where
third,
gravity
just
took over.
boom. Oh my God. It was a marvelous representation of Newtonian physics at work. It was like bodies in motion tend to stay in motion until they hit a giant mattress and then drown.
I'll tell you, like, because before we all got to do that, we were interviewing the hosts of the show, and I was interviewing Akbar, and I was telling him, I was like, they're gonna let me do this thing. Do you have any advice? And he went into like full blown coach mode. It's like, this is what you're gonna do. You're gonna do this. You're gonna do this. And he's like, I'm gonna be there right behind you. You're gonna do this. And then he joined me on the stage and was like,
he had you so pumped up.
I got nothing on you. You got this. Because the whole time I was literally going to do what you did, Seth. I was going to go one at a time because I watched the show and I saw some people do that. Yes. But Akbar was right there telling me, you got to go full force. And I'm like, well, I can't let him down. Let's just do it.
And I was like, no, I can't do that. And so I probably someone could have completed the entire course in the time it took me to do the first obstacle, but I made it across dry, damn. All right, if you're gonna bring that up as one of your favorite memories, one of mine also involves you. And there is video that I will never share with anyone, but from the opening of Diagon Alley. When we were at platform 9 3/4.
Oh no!
And everyone kept talking about how you could just walk through the wall at platform 9 3/4. Just walk through the wall. And Banks took it a little too seriously. And I thought when he did it that he was doing a bit. It was the perfect slapstick, like, bounce off the wall. And I was like,
a bit.
He got so enthusiastic and just missed that it's just a mirror gag and you're just supposed to walk through the black tunnel, and instead went right at that. It was a beautiful moment. It really was. And no Banks Lees were permanently harmed in the making of that memory.
Only my
only your pride
was bruised a little bit.
I need to see that video.
I honestly think about that moment at least once a month. Like, honestly, like, it's one of those things that haunts me to this day, because I'm like, how did you even like think that, Banks? Because this is my first time ever in the queue. Like, I'm seeing things for the first time. I don't know how things work.
Because it was so magical. Universal had done such a good job of everything in there. They're like, of course they've created an actual, it'll just slide, it'll just part for you when you come up to.
Yeah, I should have just kept walking another 5 feet to the right, and I would have seen.
I have a favorite Banksley moment too.
Oh no!
Oh yeah! Now that we're doing this, okay.
I think it was the day that you went to go ride Falcon's Fury. And we had you mic'd, but there was also like multi-camera angles.
Yes,
and when it dropped, you were just cursing up a storm, and we replaced the curses with like falcon noises.
Yeah. I love a good like bleeped curse, and if you can add a sound effect to it, I think it's the funniest thing.
That is, I still will like go and look that up and watch it sometimes if I need a good giggle.
Let me tell you, you're 300 pounds and you feel that weight hit that harness, you're gonna let out a few expletives.
Yeah, I can't. No more drop towers for me. No more drop after recent history. No more drop towers for me. Unless it's Dr. Doom, I can still handle Dr. Doom.
What about Tower of Terror? Is that?
That doesn't. That's an actual. Yeah, I'm talking about the ones that are just
just like safe air kind of stuff.
We're not. That's one of the story. If we were talking about stories that were not good to be covered here on the podcast, that would be one of them. But we will instead, I think, wrap it up there. If you guys have any final parting words for episode number 200. I think now's the perfect time.
Brittany?
I thank you so much for asking me to come back. It's been nice to see some of the old stragglers in the chat just hanging out. Congratulations on getting 200 episodes.
Yes.
Yeah, what a ride.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
clapping.
I'm so happy to be able to see you, Seth, and see you, Brittany, and just kind of walk down memory lane and be back on this. It's like this whole thing changed my life for the better. I've gotten to do so many amazing things. I wouldn't have the job I have now without this. So I'm always like on board to come back and help out in any way possible. So to do this and just chat, it's a wonderful thing.
Well, it was so amazing having both of you back. I'm only sorry that Carly couldn't also be here. We have a whole 4-pack. But I'm going to get to hopefully hang out with her on Monday. We will not be recording our regular show on Monday because it is Carly's birthday. But she and I will be hanging out at Epcot's Cava de Tequila.
Hey.
And maybe I can record a little material that might make it onto a future podcast if it is safe and family appropriate, which is questionable.
You can always bleep out with animal noises.
And remember, it would not be an attractions podcast without a word from our sponsors.
The Attractions Podcast is brought to you by MEI and Mousefan Travel. Whether your next vacation is a magical trip to the theme parks, an exciting adventure to the pyramids of Egypt, or just a relaxing cruise on the turquoise waters of the Bahamas, MEI Travel provides premium service and expert advice to help you get the most of your vacation. They are always free of any hidden fees or costs to you. Visit them at mei-travel.com.
All right, I want to thank once again our sponsors. I want to remind everyone to please give us a rating and a review wherever you listen to this podcast, whether it's Apple or Spotify. Please be sure to follow us at attractionsmagazine.com and search Attractions Magazine on your favorite social media accounts. Thank you once again to Banks and Brittany. Do you guys have social media accounts that folks can follow and catch up with you at?
Yeah, you can follow me. It's the same as it's always been, at Brittany Tuttle. God, can I remember the thing I used? BRITTANITUTTLE. Yes, it's spelled funny.
I never thought it was spelled funny. I always thought it was spelled perfectly natural. I got no problem with it.
On everything. I don't post as much these days just because I'm posting elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
But that's where you can find me.
And you can find me at Banksley on Twitter and Facebook, and now on Instagram at BanksSealy. I changed my username recently because of Threads. So at BanksSealy on Instagram and Threads. And then, if you want to follow like Learn Florida on all the socials, I wouldn't mind that at all.
Thanks again to everyone who stopped by in our chat. I know John Self was out there. He's busy writing about Minions, so thanks for taking time to listen. And once again, thanks to Michael Bingham. It's been an honor to have you as a part of this amazing ride. Until next week, or the next time that we see both of you guys, maybe episode 300, 500, episode 1000.
1000.
Until then, we hope you folks stay safe, try something new, and most importantly, have fun. And we will see you again next time. Bye.